reality TV deep dive with me, Tom Hamlet. I am so happy to be here another day for another slay of a Love Island episode. This actually was a slay of an episode, or a slay of a couple episodes. You know, I do think that last week we were on a lull. We were on a real lull of mid-level Love Island content. I'm really happy that we are finally back in the mix with some good quality Love Island baton. So today I'm going to be chatting episodes 18 and 19 of Love Island USA season 8. So this is a continuation of Casa Amor. And yeah, there's a lot to get in here. I have some notes pulled up with all the names of these islanders, some gone but probably forgotten. And we're going to get into all that. But a couple things before we get there. Reminder, if you want a video version of this episode, do check out the Dumpster Dive YouTube channel. We have a really awesome community growing over there, and I'm just so happy that it continues to get even better and more exciting. So do go check that out. That's youtube.com/dumpsterdivepod. And if you want an early access version of this episode, subscribe to the Dumpster Dive Patreon at patreon.com/dumpsterdivepod. Yeah, lots of things, but we got to get after it. Oh, also some logistics for episodes this week. I am going to be covering Real Houses of Atlanta solo, as well as the Next Gen NYC premiere solo. And then in the city, I will be recapping with Chris DeRosa, who Chris DeRosa actually is a podcaster in his own right from Fixing Famous People. But also on top of that, he is a producer of reality television. Most importantly, and most recently, one of the story producers on the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Roaring 20-year anniversary, excuse me. So he's going to have some tea, hopefully, on what went down behind the scenes on that. But that's the content that's coming out this week. Let's get after Love Island USA. So episode 18, we are finally getting the girls' side of Casa Amor. You know, we talked in our last episode about everything that went down in the sort of movie night type situation. And now we're getting the real other side. And I love that the producers were like, we got to give the girls a little more of something. And there is a whopping 12 boys. And so they got to get to know all those boys. They got to figure out who's who. They got to figure out who we love, who we don't, who we got to boot. And it's pretty crazy. And so the girls, once again, we have Amora, Parmita, Jaden, Tiara, Sydney, and Alana. We're not going to spend too much time talking about things that went down in the Casa Amor Casa with the boys, you know. There's more in episode 19 on this. Episode 18, they didn't spend as much time here. The bulk of this was everything that went down in the Casa, in the original villa. So, 12 boys enter, and I have the boys pulled up, and let's just go through them quickly. So we have Carl. Carl is this like nerdy kind of Clark Kent looking type. We have Chandler, who I would let split me upside down, backwards and forwards. We have Corey, who gets a lot of screen time in episode 19, which we'll get to in just a second. But very interested in what he's bringing to the table. We have Dylan. Dylan is just kind of like your classic little white guy, and you know who falls deeply for Dylan, our classic white girl. We have Gal. I think that's it. Gal. Looking like a Wes Wilson variant. We have Keon, who also could break me in every bone that I have in my body. We have Kyle Green. Kyle allegedly had a girlfriend that he dumped for the show because he wanted to be famous. And he went on the show, and update, Kyle does not make it very far, and so has to go back home to his girlfriend, which is tough to hear. Ronnie, also another person I would like snap me in half. Ryan, Tino, Trey, Che, Trey and Che. That's very Vanderpump Rules. We have a Trey and we have a Che, and that's it. So all those boys, we do this challenge where they get to pick the girl that they would want to like make out with. And so one by one, they all go and, lock lips with one of the ladies. And then literally right after that, the ladies have to pick of those 12, which 6 are going to stay. I actually really liked this because they didn't couple up. So they didn't commit to anyone. They just had a group conversation about the people that like they're all open to chatting with a little bit more. So I really liked that setup. So the big takeaway of that makeout challenge was that everyone wants to make out and hook up with Anaya, which I get it. Anaya is an absolute beauty. And honestly, Casey is kind of showing his ass over in the Casa. And that's like saying like ATM machine. Amor Casa, the house of love house. And you know what? Go off Anaya. She deserves to get a little bit more if Casey is out here playing the streets. But I'm curious to see what happens with the two of them. But Anaya is kind of living her best life here. But it's highs and lows. Like there are times where she's like, I miss my man. But then there's times where she's making out with literally every Casa guy. So they choose the 6. The 6 that they land on, we have Carl, Carl is so hot to me. I love a dark haired brunette, like glasses Clark Kent type. I mean, who doesn't get into that every once in a while? Like my type is really generally mixed. Like I've dated all types of people, but one of them, I can only be so basic, and one of my basic loves is just that Clark Kent look. It's just hot. What can I say? And Carl's got that. And his name is Carl. Carl. It's really sweet. And then we have Corey, Corey is kind of the bone collector of the group. We have Trey. We have Gal. We have Ronnie. And we have Dylan. So that is the group of people staying. Sorry, Trey did not stay. It was Che. My notes are incorrect on that. So it is Gal, Ronnie, Carl, Dylan, Corey, and Che. Names I will forget probably in about 5 minutes yet again. So that's our group, and everyone is now actually starting to like get to know each other and commingle and maybe give little smooches and see where there's a little bit of love here. Episode 18 ends sadly on this montage of Bryce saying how much he misses Trinity, and Trinity having this romantic moment with Corey where they hang out on the couch and then they go into the photo booth, but then end up kissing in the photo booth. And it's kind of a bummer. I really like the two of them together. I really did not think that I was going to ship Trinity and Bryce, because go back a couple weeks ago on this podcast, I was calling him Old Man Bryce because I was like, what is this old man doing here with a bunch of these Gen Zers? Which, by the way, this actually brings up a point that I don't have an opinion on it yet. I more just want to like open the conversation, and I'd love for you guys to hop in the comments. There are creators online that are talking about this, and it's a really interesting situation, and that's the age of the Islanders, and also whether or not we want influencers or if we want just regos. One of the big complaints about last season of Love Island was that all of them were influencers. I mean, let's not forget that Ace had over 1 million followers on just Instagram. I think he had more than that on TikTok. He was he had his own like hype house in LA where he just would film content with other creators. Like he was massive. And using the platform of Love Island, he says it was to find love, but to be honest, it was really just also to further that platform, which, I mean, go off. I kind of get it. Like, go on the show that's the most famous show. Why would you not use it to become famous? But it left a bad taste in people's mouths. And then this cast, they auto-corrected, and they went with a lot of people that were not influencer adjacent, maybe micro influencers at the most, which I think at this point a micro influencer is probably still like 100K followers, which these people have most of these people have less than that. I mean, some of these cast members had like 1,000 followers. Like Sean from the police department had like 1,000 followers. So They hard corrected with that. And then now we're saying that these people are boring. Also, the ages of the two casts. This cast is significantly younger than season 7's cast. So the question is like, what is the better option? Do we want to swing a little older and a little more aware of the cameras, or do we want to swing younger and not aware of the cameras, but really bought into the premise of finding love? I don't really know. I'm not sure the answer. My answer would always be swing really old and not aware of the cameras. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I want to see a Vicky Gunvalson in the mix. I want to see a Karen Huger. That's the Love Island that I would really want if we're going to go there. But another issue kind of in regards to this whole combo, though, is that we've had yet another racial issue with the Gen Zers on Love Island. And your mind starts to go places. Like this girl, Alana, who has allegedly been removed from Casa, but she's still in the episodes. I'm wondering if maybe she is not in Thursday's episode. Maybe she gets removed over Hump Day. But she also was filmed lip syncing to a song and saying the N-word. Also, she was tweeting the N-word out in messages, whether it's just a tweet or like an Instagram post or a comment. And we have to ask ourselves, like, what are these early 20-something Gen Zers doing? Are they, at this point, this is now I think the fourth racist islander we've had to, get rid of or address. Are Gen Z people just doing this online? I honestly, at this point, I'm just trying to understand and be inquisitive about it because, like, it's so far out of the realm of anything that me or the people that I surround myself would do. And is this just the norm now? Because what? It's crazy. It really is crazy. And so I don't know. I don't know what the way forward is with Love Island, but it is an interesting conversation to be had. Like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, young, old, like where do we lie? I think some of these people have to be Gen Alpha because Caleb, for instance, is 21, and I think is Gen Z reaching back all the way to 21? That's something that I don't have the time to Google, but yeah, it's just an interesting landscape for reality TV. Reality TV thrived with millennials on TV and Gen Xers. So we got to figure out how to recorrect or change the format, because I'm worried that some of our Gen Z and Gen Alphas are not going to totally know how to play the game. And someone else online was talking about how lots of these people were in high school in COVID. So no wonder they're just sitting staring at each other being like no wonder. They were doing school from a laptop while they were playing Candy Crush with their camera off. Like, I'm probably not Candy Crush, Fortnite. That aged me. That made me sound old as hell. So yeah, that's episode 18. Let's get into episode 19 though, because this is really where the meat and the potatoes are of these two Casa episodes. So we get this hilarious scene of Kenzie chatting with Dylan. Now Dylan is hot, but Dylan also had a really creepy moment later, and I get it why Kenzie's into it, but also something else about Kenzie, y'all. This woman, she's code switching. she is running rampant with some black colloquialisms when chatting with Corbin, and then once she gets in front of Dylan's ass, she's like, "Hey, it's me, Kenzie. I am from Alabama, and I would love to be in a relationship with you, Dylan." But she says, "This is sugar and this is spice." And they like everything nice, talking about her titties. And Dylan makes her repeat it like a couple times. And it's clear that she's rehearsed this line. And I didn't like this. And then Dylan and her go crazy on the couch, start making out. And they finish making out, and she goes, "Oh my God, I won the jackpot. Yay, you're such a good kisser." Like, that's not what she was doing when she was with Corbin. With Corbin, she was like, "Yo, man, I love those kisses." "You want to give me a kiss? You want to give me a kiss?" Corbin, Corbin we'll get to Corbin here in 1 second, but yeah, I just said, now why is Kenzie talking like a Valley girl now? She's in front of a different person, and now she's changed her tune. When before she was a city girl, and now she is Elle Woods. So, things to think about there. Corbin and Parmita have a hot and heavy conversation. They realize that they have met before on Instagram. Parmita DM'd him and was like, "Do you want to work out together when I move to Miami?" And they just start whispering to each other, and she says the girls wouldn't know what to do if we got along so good. What does that mean? I'm not remembering. But then they start making out. They're holding pillows in front of each other's faces and just like literally horned up, sucking on each other's bottom lips. And everyone is like, y'all, please, please. And then later they go over and sit back on the couch with the rest of the gang, and Caleb is sitting, who was also chatting with Parmita. Caleb is sitting in between, like, it's Caleb, Parmita, Corbin, kind of a la challengers, right? Parmita's in the middle, not giving Caleb a lick of attention, and is taking selfies with Corbin. She's like, me and my baby, me and my baby, me and my baby. Even though Caleb was the one that she was like all over 30 minutes ago. This is Love Island. That's Love Island. For people who are so up in the weeds on who's allowed to talk to who's allowed to make out with who, this is Love Island, okay? That's what this is. So we should be okay with this. Casey and Sydney chat. I didn't really see the vibes with the two of them, but they did also kiss. Casey also kissed Tiara. I forgot to mention that in the last episode, and that kiss was hot and heavy. I'm more team the two of them than I am Sydney if I'm going to pick someone in Casa for Casey. I put in my notes Jen and like the underline blank chat. What was this? Oh, that's Gal. That's Gal Gadot. Jen and Gal Gadot chat, and that was sweet. I don't really care about Jen. Jen, I love and light to you. You came in with a whimper, and you kind of are just stuck here because you're single. We can't get rid of you. So now you're chatting with Gal Gadot. Then we get this scene of Sincere and Amora chatting, and also we get Mel, and I believe she's chatting with Corey. And they're all chatting. Wait. Oh, yes. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what taking notes on all their chats. It's essentially like, he said rainbows are his favorite color. He said grilled cheese. We love grilled cheese. Like it's Chicken Scratch Baby Talk. So Chicken Scratch Baby Talk should be the name of a recap Love Island podcast. But Amora, who I do love, says that she loves Sincere's emotional intelligence. Now, I have to ask you something, Amora. Have you been watching the show? Because we do find out that Corey has been watching the show. And I believe they have, because they can see who they've got an eye on. Sincere is a lot of things. And I don't hate Sincere. I actually kind of like him as like a reality TV person. I think he's definitely a fuckboy, but I don't know that I would say emotionally intelligent. He played in Melanie's face and played in Soul's face. Is that emotional intelligence? We may have different definitions of that, Amora, but you're gorge. Mel's talking to Corey, and this is where Corey is like, you can do better. You can do better. And we also get later on that he also reveals that Sincere has been lying. And everything that went down with him and Soul was much more important to Soul than she could have imagined. And there's definitely things that she's going to learn on the other side of this house. I appreciate you for that, Corey, because I want all these Islanders coming in being like, I have been watching the show. I can see that you have been a dirty little dog. So I liked this. Amora has a wonderful line, and she says, there's a butterfly. I've been asking God for a sign. And then they make out. Was the butterfly you asked God for a sign to tell you, like, this is the person that you should lock lips with for a little bit? Maybe, and maybe that's what she prayed for. Shout out. Lord, I lift your name on high. And then we get a great line from Sincere where he says, Casa Amor is the epitome of testing connections. One more time, I'm just going to say that. Casa Amor is the epitome of testing connections. Now, this is the correct usage of the word epitome. So that means he knows what the word epitome means, but that also means that he's been saying epitome, epitome. It's almost like it reminds me of like the epitome, epitome, ma-na-na-na. This was great, Sincere. Good work on that. Never learn it. Never learn the right way to say it. Never learn the right way to say it. The selfie moment with Parmita and Caleb. And then Trinity, Kata, and Jen chat, and they're kind of just chatting about where they're at. And Trinity starts to cry after she reveals that she kissed Corey. And this really made me sad. She really, really, really likes Bryce. And I think Bryce really, really likes her. I see it for the two of them. At first, I was like, are y'all trying to be Nick and Andrea a little bit? Like, absolutely bombshell, hot black woman and kind of like quirky, funny model-looking white guy. It's a very similar aesthetic, the two of them. And obviously, Nick and Andrea went on to be, gazillionaires because of the show. Which, by the way, Alandria did this interview. I think it was in Us Weekly. I don't know. I don't know. She did an interview though in a big spread, maybe Glamour. And in that interview, she mentioned the interviewer asked the question like, "Are you and Nick still together?" And she was like, "I don't really see why that's anyone's business. Like, I don't check in on everyone else's relationships that I don't know. Blah 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 blah." The vibes have often been that they haven't been together for a while, but they do press together because they're kind of a package deal. My thing about not speaking on it is I don't think you would lose followers because of it. I don't think you would lose brand deals because of it. And also you went on to Love Island. So I kind of don't understand why we don't just say what it is, that we're not together anymore, if that's really the case. But maybe she's protecting her peace because something scandalous happened. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that. She doesn't really owe us anything. She is crushing it at life. She is becoming a mogul in terms of influencing, and she's a superstar. So she doesn't owe us anything except just the little sliver of you chose to be on a dating show. So people are going to ask you like, what happened? It's not like you're on Survivor and someone's like, so are you and your girlfriend still together? And it's like, well, that would be weird because you don't know who my girlfriend is. But this, I'm just kind of like, I feel like you owe us a little dash of something. But anywho, I love Alandria, and I would love to see her on a reality show again. She would be great on Traders. So would Nick. Bring them both in. The next morning, we get this now viral scene of Carl with his slutty little glasses on, like the Jurassic Park glasses of what's his face, Jonathan. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh my god, you know who I'm talking about. He looks hot here, Carl, with his slutty little glasses on. He's like, Carl. I love a Carl. I've learned that I love a Carl. And I also just wrote on my notes, these Casa boys, Corbin says something under his breath where he's like, in the interview chair, he's like, the girls in Casa are just so much better than the girls in the villa. I don't really like that. The girls in the villa have been fighting for their lives every single day to get y'all to, give us anything. The Casa boys, though? The Casa boys, I think, run just like, they are just infinitely hotter. Infinitely hotter. They all have a lot of charisma. It's actually shocking to me that the Casa boys were not, at least some of them were not the OG Islanders. Especially people like Corey, Che, Carl. They look like they would have been either great bombshells, like week 2 or great OG Islanders. This was also the next morning where Mel chats with Corey, and he says you wasn't sharing the bed with the right person. So, and then Kata and Che chat, and I'm not sure about Che for Kata. I actually do think Kata and Zach are going to end up going back to each other. But then Trinity also talks openly about her fear that Bryce is going to leave her for a lighter skinned woman. And this breaks my heart. And y'all, this is a very similar story to what Sierra has been preaching on Summer House all through the last couple of years, is that as a black woman, they don't want black women, or any women, but specifically black women, don't want to feel like a commodity. They don't want to feel like only a object of sex, because they're often fetishized. And then a white woman comes along like Amanda Batula and becomes the girlfriend. And so this fear is a fear that really runs through the black community. And I love to see Trinity talk about it, just out of an educational standpoint for those of us that don't always clock those things. But also I hate to hear that she's going through this. Hard left turn. Caleb makes out with a blonde, and the blonde says, "Not horrible." What is that blonde woman's name? What is her name? Jaden. Yeah, Jaden. Jaden after the makeout. I'm sorry, that really made me laugh. Not horrible. And then we get to the makeout challenge, the makeout like hookup challenge, where Casa and the Villa compete on who has like the steamiest moment. Everything was just kind of generally fun here, but a couple highlights. We had Bryce screaming, and producers pulled out the mic ISO of him saying, "Take your shirt off, Zach." They are never beating the Brokeback Mountain allegations. Never beating those. And now I said, why is Kayla crawling over? Wait, some of these makeout scenes, the notes on these makeout scenes, honestly, what did I say again? Chicken scratch, goo goo gaga. Like, I don't really know everything that's going on here. Straight people laying so much of their body on each other. It kind of puts into perspective what happens in the straight bedroom. And, you know, maybe it's kind of a learning opportunity to me, but some of this is just a lot for me to take on. Kinsey and Dylan get to have their gypsy moment. Essentially, it's like it really is like she's taken to the stage. Kinsey's finally allowed to be the gypsy Rosalie star that she's always wanted to be, and she hits "Let Me Entertain You," "Let me entertain you," and she's doing like her quickest 16 count like floor routine. Pod beret, kick my face, slam my coochie on Dylan's hoo-ha, and call it a day. And then Dylan has this really frightening look at camera where he's like, I didn't like that. Did not like that, but it is a tie. And to break the tie, essentially both the Villa and Casa have an orgy, and producers pick who wins. The Villa ends up winning, so that's the girls and all the new guys. And then we end on this scene between Mel and Sincere talking with their respective divas, is what I wrote in my notes. Mel's diva being Corey, and Sincere's diva being Amora. And is it Honora? No, it is Amora. And this was where Corey dropped the bomb that Mel that Sincere has been lying. Sincere and Amora get all hot and heavy, and he puts the covers like over her, and she starts like kind of like riding. She's like, and kind of freaked me out. Mel's not gonna handle that well, and I wouldn't handle it well either. Okay, so Sincere, you better hope a movie night is not coming again, because you're gonna be done for. But then, yeah, that's the end of this. I don't know when they head back to the Villa. I assume maybe on Friday's episode is when they'll journey back, or maybe Thursday's episode is a recoupling, and so they all get to pick like what couple they want to be in Casa and in the Villa, and then maybe Friday or Sunday they head back together. So we will see what happens. I think this week has been a significantly better week for our Love Island franchise. Lots of things happening here. I love a lot of these new bodies. Not me calling them bodies. New people. Just, I mean, I say new bodies. They're just naked. They're just naked. But I'm liking all of the newbies, all the new bombshells. I do think it's kind of reinvigorated the season a bit. But yeah, I will be back with more Love Island coverage over the weekend. So that will probably be covering everything that goes down on Thursday and Friday. Also, make sure to check out Next Gen NYC recap dropping later this week, as well as In the City and Housewives of Atlanta. So much is happening, and I'm having a blast. So thank y'all for being here, and I'll chat with y'all next time. Bye.